Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins.
and you're on the air with Power Squared. This week, our guest is Lewis Fenton of Mythos Comics, who we met at Comic Con this year. We had the booth the table next to us. We didn't have booths. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you again.
Yeah, appreciate you doing it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, about myself. Well, I we met at Comic Con at the booths, but my career started in television in LA a long time ago. Mostly in reality world, The Bachelor and things like that.
Hmm.
And then it was in a dating format like that where I met Braggy Shute, who was at that point working also in unscripted television as a story editor for a show called Average Joe on NBC, which if you're old, you might remember. It was a huge hit back in its day.
Yeah.
But he and I instantly hit it off on sort of comic nerddom. And we would go to there's a comic shop on Olive in Burbank in LA. And we'd go there during lunch and just hang out. And like a lot of people since, you realize it's very hard to own any IP or get an idea to a real place by yourself in Hollywood or any entertainment. It's nearly impossible. So it's like, what can you make for the least amount of dollars and own yourself and have? And that's sort of where we sort of started our Mythos company. When that was like in 2006 or 7, those first little seeds of that.
Okay. Yeah, we understand the expense. I work for Lionsgate, and they have a large alternative television. It used to be E1 and Pilgrim and a bunch of other companies put
Yeah.
together, and they do a lot of reality television. So it's kind of interesting that you were involved in that too. And I want to say, did we have somebody on here who was a cameraman on The Bachelor?
Yeah.
Um,
Was that Horvath?
yeah, yeah. We had Horvath on, and he had been a cameraman on The Bachelor. He said,
Horvath. I wonder if I work with. I mean, it's been a lot of seasons, so they've got a
yeah,
lot of camera guys there over the years. I worked on season 2, which was Aaron Berge, and then the first Bachelorette, and then the next one was this guy Andrew Firestone, and then I moved over to that Average Joe show, and then from there, my career went all over the place: design shows, game shows, bigger sort of network formats all over the place.
okay. You are, according to IMDb, you're best known for Rules of the Game 1 and 2. What is that?
IMDb is insane to say that. First of all, those were not very well rated golf specials that were time buys on CBS a long time ago. So what does it say? Those are the highest rated, like stars? Like
No,
what
it
is it
just said
saying?
you're best known for Rules of the Game 1 and 2, Inked and Tattoo Highway. Do you? My
I
question
think
was, do you agree with that?
Ink was a tattoo show back when tattoo shows were the rage. That show did really well for A&E, and that tattoo artist is still a great friend of mine. So I would say Average Joe, Tattoo Highway, and then maybe Pool Kings on HGTV or what's it called? A DIY Network for a long time. Um, yeah, I wouldn't put Rules of the Game in there, although a very cool show if you love golf. It's
Okay.
pretty fun.
All right. Well, okay, so you don't agree with it. Your most recent film was Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah. So my partner and I got together and we're I don't know how much you want to get into this really, but very disturbed with, well, to put a point on it, very disturbed with the types of research that are going on in the world now that we think are a severe danger to our species. We're going to wipe ourselves out tinkering with things in order to tinker with a possible antidote or vaccine for that thing.
Right.
And the research we found really terrifying, and no one was discussing it in a meaningful way. So that movie is about that. It's about what's been going on and the many lies that were told to cover it up and are still going on to cover it up. And that was great. That was the first time I sort of had used my powers for good, is what we like to say, bringing it back to superhero world. Like all these years of television and production, to be able to not do a a show about people dating and like getting drunk, or people getting their pool done, or just all the dopiness that goes into reality TV. And there's a lot. It was good to do a serious piece with a very good director, a progressive director, not like a righty director. He's a progressive director, trying to do something good for the world. Hope to do more of those. It's cool.
Okay, LinkedIn shows you as the president of Bombadil Entertainment. Am I saying
Yes,
that right?
that's the company my partner and I spun off to make that documentary,
Okay.
and hope to make more. So yeah, Bombadil's it's just the newest.
Now, is that named after Tom Bombadil from Lord of the Rings?
It is. We are both huge Lord of the Rings guys.
Okay.
Me and the partner.
All right, see, hey, little research there.
There you go.
Yeah. So as we said at the beginning, we met you at Comic-Con with Mythos Comics, and you mentioned that you and your partner kind of bonded over comics. So, going from being, liking comics to making comics, what was that? What caused that transition for you?
Well, it was kind of like I said. We wanted to own IP. We wanted to not have to go out. It's brutal. If you've done it before, selling your wares in LA, whether it's a TV show, which I've done 50, 60 times, hundreds of times, like taking your show out to sell your show to networks. And then if they buy it, it's a license fee. You still don't own it. They own everything. You're begging for new seasons. You're not in control of the budget. You lose all your ownership, and it's a sort of a sad, lonely road. And even with movies and films, it's the same thing. You get wrecked as you go through the system, especially when you're young and upcoming. You just have no weight, you have no juice. And so comics was something we both loved, and it was something where you could own it fully yourself, produce it cheaply, relatively cheaply, under 10 grand, and own it and try to distribute it yourself. And so that was the launch of that. And our first comic was Deep Blue, and we made it. We found our artists on it's called drawingboard.com. Remember that? Not .com. It's I don't care what it's art. Deviant Art is another art board.
Yeah.
Deviant Art, right?
Yeah.
Those have changed a lot. They seem a little different now when I go on them. I almost get lost in there, but they were pretty good in the early 2000s. They seem to be full of a lot of excited people. So yeah, we found some artists, and we did our first comic, and we got a table at, it wasn't called LA Comic-Con, Wizard World.
Yeah.
Wizard World in LA, and we will never forget it. We joke about it a lot given our table now, but we had our one comic, and we just spread it all over the table for one comic, like tiles, just like every different way you could spread it. Here's flop this way, let's flop this way, and one was up, and there's a stack of them over here, just spread it all over the table, and that was our launch. We did okay. I mean, that was probably 2008. I don't know when that was. It was a while back. We did okay. I think we did 2 years of Wizard World. Maybe the second year we had a second one only. And then I don't know what our first year Comic-Con was, but we've gone every year since, and it's just slowly grown title by title. And some of the titles come from Braggy, my partner's screenplays that he hadn't done, and some are pure collaborations. And one of them is a good friend of ours who had a sort of a screenplay that he had written. So a lot of it is a way to take your screenplays that no one has wanted, that you believe in and love dearly, and breathe life into them. And this is a way to do it.
So these are stories you want to tell, and so now you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are like that, right? You have that in you, right? You just have you have a desire to tell stories, and it's good to have an outlet.
So I take it you're the writer, not the artist on these?
Correct. We are all the writers.
Okay.
There's no artists that are full-time. We find them for the various titles.
Okay. So tell us about, you mentioned, there was one I saw, well, you mentioned Deep Blue, which you said was your first one. You want to tell us what's that about?
Sure. Deep Blue is a dystopian sci-fi AI story. The world's come a long way with AI now, so it's sort of interesting. I'm wondering whether to tell you the twist to Deep Blue. But I will just tell you the pitch to Deep Blue is there is a man who is the last person left in a city that's been overrun and taken over by AI robots and technologies, and they have kept him because they think he's their creator, and they are torturing him to try to understand the soul, to try to understand their creator. And they are so confused how someone lesser than them could create someone greater than this, and how a lesser being could create a greater being. And so it's like this AI brain trying to figure out the world through torturing their creator. He is not the creator. He's just a guy with it's a sort of mistaken identity, but he's given himself up to being tortured by them and living alone as the last man in the city, until one day while he's being tortured and interrogated by them, he finds a fingernail on the table, and it's not his. And he realizes suddenly he's not alone. There are other humans here. They've been lying to him, and it inspires him to try to escape.
Oh.
And it's a story of him trying to escape Mech City and what he learns as he is escaping. And there's a robot that may or may not be helping him, be sort of developing altruism in a sort of a human way. It's addressing some of those cool issues.
Okay. Sounds interesting. So that was your first book?
Yeah.
And you have how many issues did you guys put out?
We did 4. It wraps up to a degree in 4, and I'm not sure we'll continue. We're so spread out with our other books now, we're not sure we'll continue it. But we did 4. Did the trade that came out only last year. I mean, we had 4 for a while. We just finally did the trade last year or 2 years ago, and we are discussing whether you want to pick it up again. You know, you move on to other stories, and it's hard to go back and finish the initial story. You know, if we got a little bigger, we could have someone do it for us or write it for us. It'd be great. But everyone gets excited about their new stories, and we get spread out, and there's only so much time in the day, right?
Right. Yeah, I understand that. Also on the list was something called Sulfur.
Yeah, Sulfur's very excited about Sulfur. Sulfur's our newest. It's the story of a girl who lives in Brooklyn, and she's sort of sickly and pale, and she's 12. And she has all the problems of a 12-year-old girl just dealing with middle school. And I have a 13-year-old daughter, as you guys have met at Comic-Con, so I'm familiar with these things that are going on, middle school girls. But in addition to that, she has this power where if she touches your skin to skin, she sees the worst thing you've ever done. She sees it clearly. She has these visions. And so she freaks her out, and she wears gloves, and she just wants to be normal. And she's just like saying she's normal. She's got these very normie parents that adopted her when she was young. She's got a mysterious past. And she goes to a Catholic school. She's got some friends, and some kids have gone missing. And she and her friends are trying to figure out what's going on. But she's also sort of dealing with her weird powers, being in denial and trying to say she's normal. But then one day a pug follows her home, and she sits down and talks to the pug, and the pug talks back and says he is her servant from hell. And her father, as it turns out, is Asmodeus, the king of a fallen kingdom in hell where there was a coup, and she was the only surviving family member, and she was shuttled off to this plane to hide her. But now she's 12, she's going through like puberty, and they're starting to see her, and they're sending people after her. So the pug, whose name is like Scorchmouse Tyrannosaur or whatever, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
That's fine.
He of course calls him Scorch as a short, and he's her bodyguard. And he in reality is this hulking demon dog, awesome, great creature. But then also she's a devil form too. She's weak in this world, but she's used to breathing the sort of sulfur air of her home world. So when she's in her home world, she's an absolute badass winged, flame-throwing devil princess. And so Scorch is here to protect her. And so it's going to be like this sort of a Scooby-Doo situation. She and her friends still solve crimes. She can use her powers now, and when the crimes get a little out of control. But she also has this deeper political thing happening in hell. People are being sent to get her. And they can't just all send 100 demons to get her, because in our world, to open a portal is very difficult. It's very spiritually expensive, or else, you know, they would all just pour in all the time, right? So it's tough to send things to this plane. But the first series takes her through learning about her powers and her true background. So the first one took so long to come out. We were all, like I said, we were all so spread out on our titles and stuck. And then our artist was the artist from Deep Blue, and he's taking a long time to finish that. We really wanted him to do Sulfur, but we made a foam board of Sulfur of the title, of the cover rather. And it was the thing that got the most attention in Comic-Con for 4 years in a row. We were getting so embarrassed that we didn't have it. So I was like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It was starting to fold, it had coffee stains on it. And then like the same girl would come by like, where's the pug story? Because people are just like insane for pugs. That was a triumph this year. We finally got it out. And it did really well. It did as well as Vamp, it was our vampire one, which has been out for a while, 4 issues, and a trade. So we have high hopes for Sulfur. And given the whole business model is IP, I feel like Sulfur would make an excellent animated series
Sounds
on
good.
Netflix or whatever. You know, everyone says that, but whatever. It would make a very good series. It's a nice target audience. It's girls. It's super PG. So I don't know.
You
High
mentioned.
hopes.
Okay, well, good. So are you going to put together a pitch for that, or is that still?
Well, yeah. Well, like we usually use my partner. Again, my partner is a very successful screenwriter. He wrote, Escape Room and Season of the Witch and what's the other vampire movie? He didn't. What's the name of the ship that Dracula took to London? Do you remember? Demeter. The Demeter.
Oh.
There's a movie called Demeter. That was his story too. So Braggy, he's done a bunch of TV shows. He's got a good pipeline into sort of his agents, into possible people picking up IP. So our problem is the pace at which we create them is so slow. Sulfur 2 won't be out for 6 months on a good day. Hopefully we can crank it out. It's tough for us. I guess it goes back to us writers, not artists. We can't just sit down and do it ourselves with the whim of artists that they themselves have a lot of projects. So that kind of sucks, but that is the hope. Yeah, it's already taken a couple meetings. Vamp has taken a bunch of meetings. Vamp always comes up and almost gets a deal. People love vampires. It's like the tide. Like vampire love comes in, and vampires are huge, and it goes out again.
Zombies.
So we're having another vampire moment, I'm told right now. So we'll see what that goes. But I don't know. High hopes for Sulfur, but maybe we'll need another one to sort of give someone an idea, a little more of the storyline.
So I was going to ask you about Vamp. So this is one of the books you were pushing at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And I believe Jim Eccles was there as well.
Yeah, Jim Eccles is the writer of that one.
Yeah, he was the one that was playing in the hallway kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Jim amuses himself at San Diego Comic-Con a lot.
Yeah.
But he makes the chips too. He made the first poker chips because it's about a vampire, a casino run by vampires, and the protagonist is like the cleaner, like Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction. He's like the cleaner, got to make sure everything goes away. He's guest relations. So that's a cool sort of high concept thing. And so Jim would make casino chips for the supposed Sanctus Casino, which is from the book. And then he made it the first time, and it was so cool. Now he makes chips every year. And so it costs like $250 to make that briefcase full of. And then he can just chuck them at people, or just jingle them in your hands, or just give them to people.
He was giving it to everybody. He was giving it to, like, I think we mentioned it, he was giving it to children, which I thought was a little weird. But, it's not for me to say. So that's about a casino. Is it in New Orleans or something, or where is it? Where's it?
Well, Vegas. It's a Vegas casino run by vampires, and the protagonist is a cleaner. It's his job is guest relations, so he's dealing with all of the craziness that happens in that casino. And then the main story arc is his mysterious woman comes back into his life, and he actually has a much deeper background than you first realize in the book. He's actually his own type of immortal creature, going back to Spain 400 years ago. And his girlfriend from back then comes back, and she's a maker. She can make other vampires, which is a rare thing in that world. And so it causes him all kinds of drama, and ends up being sort of a revolt in vampiredom, and he's in the middle of it.
There's always that thing about vampires is they suck your blood, but they can also turn you into a vampire, and I don't know exactly when does that happen. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember we just saw in Castlevania, the vampire blood is given to the...
Yeah, they kind of put it on their face or something. I mean,
she made a whole show out of it.
Okay, yeah, okay. But it was just... I don't know if that's the standard way of doing it, or is that the Castlevania way of doing it? Because I mean, I remember I think the movie Dracula, if he bit you, you became a vampire, I think.
Right.
Well, no, not in Bram Stoker. You have to feed off him, right?
Okay.
Didn't he have to tell like Wilhelmina, like it was a special thing. Not everyone became. I think he had to like make you. And then I'm trying to think. Anne Rice's books. I don't think you always became. I think you had to be created.
Oh.
They had to like put extra. I think they all had the power to create, but it had to be an intentional thing, and that's how it is in Vamp. I like that more because like if it's like zombies, I agree with it. It gets a little wonky really quickly. Everyone just gets bitten and you become. I always have a problem with zombies too. They never deal with that. They absolutely mangle the bejesus out of them, and they get up and walk around like they've been eaten. I mean, there's nothing left. It's a bizarre thing. Yeah. If zombies love brains and flesh, they would just eat the person. They wouldn't like have 4 bites and then look around and be like, he's a zombie now, guys. Back home. He's one of us.
Hey, we got one.
Don't fight him anymore. He's good. He's good. That's enough eating.
Well, I was just, there's got to be, and maybe each vampire story has its own way of doing it.
Yeah, like in JoJo, in JoJo, vampires, or at least Dio, sucked blood through his fingers.
Uh-huh.
They shoved his finger into someone's throat and then sucked the blood that way.
Sort of reverse putting gas in the tank. Anyway.
And Lost Boys, which I watched with my daughter fairly recently, I think they had to drink their blood. He gives the guy, Patrick, what's the actor's name? I'm not going to get it. Patrick's involved. They give him a little chalice with blood in it.
Oh.
And that's how he has to become. They have to like drink some blood, and he doesn't actually become until he drinks off people.
I see.
So clearly the rules are undefined.
Yeah, okay. Just
in the Vampire Encyclopedia.
And maybe somebody will say, no, I know exactly how it happens.
Right. In his world, though, only certain people have the power.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to challenge him. The Brave?
Yeah, Brave is something that's my project and thing, and it's loosely based on a story that I've always found fascinating. It's sort of historical fiction, which I know is not a comic genre everyone's jumping about, like historical fiction comics, but I'm just a huge fan of history in general. When the Pilgrims arrived to Plymouth Rock in that area, and they all most of them died in the boat right the winter before, and they come in here. What you don't hear about very often is when they're at the edge of survival and feeling like they're in this foreign place, freezing cold. They couldn't plant crops. It was way colder than they thought. They didn't obviously know how to talk to anybody, Indians, wherever. An Indian walks out of the forest speaking perfect English.
Squanto,
right. Squanto, that actually happened. And
yeah.
Squanto's history is amazing, and it's not full of so many details, but he was kidnapped when he was younger by explorers, went back to England, was a spectacle in England, and then spent time in a monastery, learned perfect English, and then eventually got a ride back to his homeland, where of course his entire tribe now was long dead from smallpox and pollution from the same explorers that kidnapped him a long time ago. And he was just massively important to keeping those early pilgrims alive. So I've always found that story fascinating. So the story of Brave is sort of filling in what that might have looked like.
So what explorers kidnapped him or whatever?
Well, that's not documented. I've looked in that 100. There's not enough documentation like what the ship and what have happened, because what the Pilgrims were 16 something, so he would have been captured even earlier than that.
Yeah.
I don't know of anyone who was here in a meaningful way other than like the explorers you learn. Eric the Red. I mean, I don't know who was here before the Pilgrims, who was like pinning around the northeast of North America. I don't know. Yeah,
because I remember hearing about that story, and he spoke English, and they like helped him out. And it's like, what the hell? It's really lucky that he was there,
And imagine how religious the Pilgrims are. That must have just been like, well, I mean, Indian just walks out of the forest. It's like, hey, good morning. what are you guys doing here? It must have been. It's unthinkable. So it's a story of his life, but it's obviously fictionalized because we don't know a lot,
Right.
and it's also a lot's added into it. It's dealing with civilization versus savage, and how sort of horrible civilization actually was back then and still now. Like it's sort of an illusory thing. Like one is primal and one is just wonderful civilization. It's dealing with that a lot. So he gets kidnapped. He's back in England, and it's a little bit of a Oliver Twist with a tomahawk for a while, and then he has to make his way back.
It's it is a fascinating story. So I actually want to read that.
Oh, nice. Really cool.
All right. You also have Samaritan.
Yes. So Samaritan was a script written by Braggy, the other founder of Mythos. I don't know how many years ago, maybe 4 or 5. And he shopped it around, did not get bought. And then we talked about it. Let's make a comic out of it. It'll be great. It's the story of a kid in a sort of a shitty neighborhood in the city. And this city is famous for having these two, a hero and a villain, that would fight all the time. Right when the kid was born, or soon after he was born, he was very little. And their names were Samaritan and Nemesis. And they would battle all the time. And then in a giant blazing battle on the top of a burning building, Samaritan died, burned up to death. And since that point, Nemesis survived, they think. Since that point, this whole city, the metropolis as it were, has just gone to shit. Very, very depressed, lots of crime, lots of gangs, very sort of Dark Knight, Arkham Asylum type of a world. And his mom's a dancer, and she's single mom, struggling. This kid lives in a crappy tenement. But then he starts being fascinated by his neighbor, who he sees skulking around by the garbage and stuff like that, who drives a sanitation truck, and he's huge, and he's spying on him through his window, and he's covered in burns. His back is covered in burns, and the kid loves the stories of Samaritan, so he becomes convinced that Samaritan, he didn't die. So the kid's bugging him, and the guy eventually acknowledges he's got to save the kid from some bullies and some gangsters and the thing. So that's where that story starts. It's really cool. And he's starting to figure out who Samaritan is and inspiring Samaritan to again
Become a hero.
take his place, defending the city and do what he was supposed to be doing. And then I can tell you the twist, because he's actually not Samaritan. He's actually Nemesis. Samaritan didn't.
That's a good twist.
So it was a very cool twist. And the twist was good enough that after we had made 2 comics, Sylvester Stallone was looking for some old grizzled hero stories through MGM, and they bought the script. Now, it should have been very exciting for Mythos. It was exciting for Braggy regardless. It's great. The script's bought, Sylvester Stallone, MGM, fantastic. It's going to be on Amazon, who had bought MGM. But for poor Mythos, it was bought off the script. It wasn't really bought off the comics, even though Braggy brought the comics to Sylvester Stallone, who looked at him and was like, "Hey, these are cool." But it was the script that was bought, not the comic. So we didn't get to really score our first comic IP win there. It was more the original screenplay. The other drawback is when they bought it, again, we didn't have enough. Talking about this earlier, like how much you just don't have a lot of juice when you're starting. MGM and Sylvester Stallone are going to own the whole IP, everything, the whole thing. So we had to stop production on the comic.
Oh.
The movie took a little different turn. Movie did great. #1 movie of the year 2 years ago, right during COVID, like 23, 22. It did fantastically on Amazon, but we kept making more comics. So that comics value goes up every few months on our website, even at Comic-Con, because that supply is finite. We can't make any more ever again, and we got maybe a couple boxes left, 1 and 2. So that's pretty cool. I mean, for that year after the movie came out, we tried to get a little sticker on it saying like, at Amazon. A bunch of people loved it and bought it, and some people have bought it. I think we're charging like 15 for it right now. I think it's up to. It'll probably go to 20 pretty soon as we almost run out. But that's been a cool. It's been a cool adventure. We just love the next one to be bought to be just pure comic bought, because then maybe Mythos can stay involved in that transaction.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
you want to have a piece of it, not have it go to somebody else. Well, that's
right.
it's cool and sucks at the same time.
Right. Couldn't complain too much, right? It was good. Did great. Comic is there. It was fun. We were close. It shows it does work sometimes, right? Like they can be found and they can be appreciated and the right timing.
Were you able to tell was the whole story told in those 2 issues, or there like still more to come? And then
No, just basically issue 2 ends up. It's a really cool gang in there. It's almost kind of a road warrior type gang in there. A good gang leader. And really, 1 and 2 just take us as far as acknowledging that he is Samaritan. I mean, as you would think he's Samaritan in our 2
Right.
books. Didn't get to the twist because the twist
Oh.
comes very late. It is funny to read the 2 comics and then watch the movie because there are some. I don't want to speak ill of anything. We were very happy with how everything worked out. Great, but it is Hollywood, so there's some hilarious ads like the magical hammer. I don't know. Did you guys watch the movie? It doesn't look like you watched the movie.
No.
He's got a hammer. His weapon in the movie is really funny. It's like a turbocharged like sledgehammer. Like I don't really. They don't explain it that much, but it's just a producer. Like I'm a producer in my real life. I get it. I've added preposterous, funny, visual, just producery things. But it's a really funny one. And when you watch the movie, having read the book, it is funny to see the stuff that they added in there. So he's been approached to write the sequel, but just nothing moves quickly out there.
No,
So it's
no,
just
yeah.
winding slowly.
Okay, the last one I saw on your website was something called Magic with a K.
Yeah, Magic is another Braggy screenplay, and it is a kid that has had these magical powers since he was little. He could not control, got into trouble, and it turns out he is bloodline of sort of a warlock witch family, and the magic is the spoken word, can do these things, can open portals, can heal, and do all this stuff. And there's a shady government agency, almost like MIB, Men in Black, that has been trying to capture these people for hundreds of years. So the format is essentially, if you ever watched the TV show, The Incredible Hulk, where he's just on the run every episode. Like he
Right.
comes into town, stuff happens, and the cops come and he's got to like get out of there again. It's that. And so he's the guy with the magical powers is coming in, he's getting pulled into these scenarios. He's being stalked by these sort of black cloaked FBI agents and trying to track down his father has a message for him. He's trying to like figure out where he comes from, where the powers come from. And we're only on 3 there, and that will tie up on. Actually, we just talked about that yesterday. Instead of doing 4 and 5, I think we're putting it together for a giant like 40-page book 4 for that one. So yeah, that's our newer one.
All right. So you do you do a lot of conventions?
No, we just that's not true. I was gonna say we just do Comic-Con. I just do San Diego Comic-Con, but Braggy and Eccles and a writer we collaborate with a lot, Shadow Hill, they have done WonderCon, I think 3 times. WonderCon's in October. When is WonderCon? Spring? When is WonderCon?
March.
Spring. It's in March.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think well, New York Comic Con is in the fall. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yes, it's March. So they do WonderCon, and they've liked it. I'm sort of. I mean, have you guys done WonderCon? Have you done that? I've heard
we
it's
did
more comic in a
last
lot
year.
of ways better.
Last year we did WonderCon and Comic Con for the first time.
And what was your analysis?
Well, we were stuck in small press, which is sort of like off the main floor. I mean, you walk in, there's Artist Alley, then there's exhibitors, and then there's I think another room, and then small press, and it's sort of like lonely out there for us. And I don't think anybody really like cleaned up there. I mean, people did better than we did. We were pretty new at doing everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to do WonderCon again, but we're also hoping we can get into Artist Alley instead of small press.
Right.
And then
It is more comic-y though, right? There's less insanity for. Isn't it more of a focused audience then, at least for comics and art and things? Or
yeah, because we did the year before we did LA Comic Con, and it was sort of like people weren't. I don't know why they were there because they weren't necessarily looking to buy comics necessarily. They were just there for whatever was going on.
Yeah.
Right.
And because like we we decided we didn't want to do it again because it was a lot of money, and we did sell some stuff, but not it was more expensive to have a table there than it was at WonderCon or Comic Con.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. Then.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I don't really want to, got to spend their money someplace. Let's do it where there actually would be people that want to buy comics. So,
Yeah.
So we've only done three conventions in the last 2 years, and we're hoping to do WonderCon and Comic Con again. We're applying again for small press at Comic Con.
Well, maybe we'll be neighbors again.
Yeah.
Well,
if you can keep Eccles under control, we'd appreciate it.
I can't promise anything.
So, who were all the people in your booth? I mean, it was your daughter and Eccles, and it just seemed like you had like this massive amount of people there.
Yeah, I mean, and that was actually light for us, to be honest. It was me and my daughter. It was her first time going, and then Eccles, and then Eccles has actually 3 now. Is she 2 or 3? 3-year-old daughter, 2.5-year-old daughter, and then Eccles' wife. And I'm not sure. Do we have more people that I'm forgetting?
You had another blonde guy in there.
Oh yeah. That's our writer. It's our writer we frequently collaborate with, Chado.
Okay.
He's interesting. He's a big sound guy in LA. He does a lot of sound mixing for lots of big shows. Yes, Chado. Who you didn't have this year for the first time ever is my partner Braggy, who usually comes down with his wife and 3 kids.
Wow.
We all just rotate in and out in there. It's like it's insane. But we're not all there. No one's ever there all of us at the same time. It's crazy. But they play a lot of D&D upstairs, all the kids, and the wife generally drops by some. But yeah, to be honest, we don't see each other that often. So we use Comic-Con as like it's hangout time as much as it's for sales and the IP and all the business reasons. And we just enjoy catching up.
Okay, because it just seemed like one of the advices we were told was not to have more than 2 people behind the booth at a time. We had interviewed Dope Cat, who was right across from you. He was across from us at WonderCon, and so we had him on the show, and he was giving us some like pointers and saying we had 4 people behind the booth at WonderCon. He goes, "That's like too many people. It can intimidate people or something."
Thought Scott Lost said that.
Oh, Scott Lost. All right, I'm sorry. It was the other guy.
I think it's true. I would think also that is true, but I think also it's what you're doing. I think if you're just looking out at the passersby, that's a lot of eyeballs looking out. So, I don't know. I don't know, man. You can go around and around on that. I feel like I would agree. The best would be 1 or 2 people there, engaging, just right. Just engaging just enough. A lot of people staring out. It's too much. It's like a gang staring out. But I think even when we have a lot of people, we try to I try to leave people alone unless we're like motivated on handing out chips in spurts. We'll go out there and hand out things like crazy. But
Yeah.
in general, I feel just to discover it really. So I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people on there. Just leave them alone.
Yeah. Yeah, he was right. It was Scott Lost, who was also somebody at WonderCon, who told us we had too many people. The Dope Cat guy was trying to give us advice about how if you notice when he hands them his little postcard, he kind of holds on to it and says, "Let me tell you about my book," that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting.
I just don't personally like that. I just don't like when I go wandering around. I don't like the alms for the poor spiel. Like, hey, will you like something? I'll tell you about it. You like
see something cool?
Right. Well, anyway, take this. Hey, I don't like that. Other people do respond to that and they go, "Oh, sure," and they love it. So I could be completely wrong, but I don't like doing that. I prefer to attract someone like me that just wants to wander around, pick it up, read it, ask a question if I have one. But I'm not the master salesperson for sure.
Yeah, we found out we were going to Comic-Con on July 3rd.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so we were like, and I talked to you earlier about Kablam. They fulfilled our order in time for us to take it all down there. So it was a very quick turnaround. We weren't even, so July 3rd was at 6:30. Hey, an opening at Comic-Con. So the next day is a holiday. Like, no one's going to respond. I'm like, okay, well, yes, I'm interested. And it finally, they finally connected that week, and then it took another week, and we weren't even in the program, and we barely got on the online thing, and it was kind of like showing up at the last second.
Well, that's a miracle you did that. I think I had told you before, you have to send a sample in to get small press. Before we were small press, we were just at an exhibitor table there, and it can go very wrong. You can be next to a table that's just aggressively hawking Magic the Gathering cards, or just all the cards, and we were next to someone with an AV thing playing a song loudly all day on loop. Yeah. Holy smoke! I still hear it in my sleep. God, that was like 4 years ago. Just, oh my God. So small press is an important place to be in there for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because at least for the most part, I mean, we already talked about it too. There's some places where I don't understand how they're small press either. I don't really get how they are there. And it's like they have all these weird things. I guess they have one book, I guess, that makes them small press. I don't understand a lot of that stuff.
There was people at the end that were selling, looked like just, tchotchkes. They weren't necessarily selling a book or anything. And
they're crushing it the whole day.
Yeah, right? I know. Yeah. So this is small press. But yeah, it was good for us. We had somebody come up and buy the entire run of one of our books, which was like 25 issues.
That's great.
That was pretty cool. They actually bought 2, and then came back later to buy the rest of them. So I was like, hey,
that's a dream. That's what you want, right?
Yeah. We have a friend who's a creator in Australia, and he said every show he does, somebody always comes up and buys everything he has. And I go, okay, that's never happened to us, and then it did. So that was pretty cool.
What's it like in Australia? Is there a good comic population there?
We've actually never been there. We just talked to him on it. They actually have the government helped he went to the seminar with the government ran, and then when he did his Kickstarter, the government helped, gave him extra money.
Why?
Well, because they want to encourage people to make comic books, I guess. But it sounds like a way better, get money to do something as opposed to.
That's great. So maybe there's an art. There's a.
I think there's a lot of people down there like there are here.
They're putting into it. That's cool.
Yeah. I was a little jealous, like, oh, great, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go to Australia and make some comics.
Yeah, fine. So you talked about your favorite thing is really kind of connecting with the people that you work on the books with. Is that right?
Yeah, no, we love that. I mean, that's what I love about Comic-Con. Comic-Con's our only convention, so we do think it's important because there's a lot of, knowing a lot of people in the industry, they do all go down there. They do a flyby past all that stuff, all those development people from Bruckheimer and Gale Ann Hurd's people, all these people, they do walk around and look at things and grab cards. And so I think it's an important presence to keep. There's also we got a mild little fan base that knows when we have not released a book yet and gives us some crap and is sure to buy the newest stuff. So you want to see those people. That's important. And also there's some just industry sharing, like with you guys or Jim at Law Dog. Met him a couple of years ago, and he's been a cool person to get to know, like what he's learned as far as getting the books out there and doing what he's doing. So I think it's important for all those reasons. But one other big bonus for me is, I lived in LA for 12, 13 years, but now I live East Coast, and I get to go see all those guys for those 5 days. So it's really fun.
What made you move out of LA?
Well, my TV company at the time, we were based in Burbank, but we were doing a lot of sales in New York, and A&E was in New York. The Bravo headquarters that we were selling, a lot of stuff was in New York. Even the ABC, the people that we were selling to were in New York. So, and then the president of that company also had a place in New Hope, Pennsylvania, sort of outskirts of Philly, north a little bit. And so he wanted just to have an office in the East. And I'm from out here. I'm from sort of a farm in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
So for me, it was an excuse to get the kids out of LA and raise them in a way, something a little more similar to how I was raised with my farm here and my parents. And so it worked out great. That was like 12 years ago. Yeah, but you miss LA. There's no place like LA as far as the interest. It's like it's hard to find people that geek out over anything in Princeton, New Jersey, where I am now. They'll geek out over like finance jokes. You can make banking floats your boat, and wealth
Yeah.
management. You got a lot of options here. But if you want to talk about, I don't know, uh, my, my Berserk collection or comics, there's very little here. So that time is important to go out there and just be able to geek out for a while.
Okay. What is the next book coming out from Mythos?
I am writing one right now, but we have made sort of a pledge to ourselves to push all the titles forward and not launch a new one and stay focused. So that means Sulphur 2 script is done. It's starting right now. The artist is working on character design right now. Magic 4, 5, I told you, 4 and 5 combined in a 140 pager. That's in production right now. Jim has finished Vamp 5. He's into Vamp 6. And then they're always yelling at me to continue Brave 3. The artist for Brave 3 is a beekeeper in France. Awesome dude. He's so good. He does great paintings. The covers of Brave are so good. He's clearly doing like paint or something like that. Or he's doing something digital. Looks so painting, but really cool artist. But he's tough. His time is brutal. It's very tough to get him to focus on something. So these chunks of time go by in between short spurts of activity. And that makes it tough when there's other ones that are faster. But I'm getting yelled at by Braggy all the time that we got to get Brave done. Brave will probably be 5 comics to get Brave all the way back to the U.S. It's a cool story though.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fascinating.
That's why I don't want to continue on Deep Blue after the trade. Like let Deep Blue sit. Deep Blue has a trade, great. Vamp has its first trade volume, great. Eccles is going to keep doing Vamp forever, I feel like. So Braggy's going to keep grinding on Magic, and I'll keep pushing together on Sulphur and Brave. And we try to not add, but there's always ones we're talking about. I mean, Comic-Con's impossible not to go to Comic-Con and not have 3 more get born there. We have to just put them on deck.
Okay. We ask all of our guests, have you read Power Square? And I know you read one issue of it because you guys got water on it.
I read the one issue that I spoiled.
And
Yeah. I like that. That was cool. I was just on your website before here too, because I'm not sure I got the full story from the book.
yeah, the first issue sets up the second issue where you find out more.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I got the basics. These 2 twins with powers at this college, and then being chased by someone, and that was cool. But then I just read the full backstory on the thing that there's this again. Some ways it's magic. There's a shady group after them, but they have a sort of this sage that's protecting them. So
Yeah, we
cool.
we actually I think came up with the idea after going to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Right, several times, and we were like, how hard is it to come up with a book? So and they were like 19 at the time, and so and it took a while. It took us several years to find an artist, and but part of the, you get we go to Comic-Con every year, even if we weren't professionals, we were still going, and
Right.
you got to meet people that were kind of interested in working in comics, and we've met. Going to conventions, you do meet other people that are doing the same sort of thing you're doing, and it kind of makes you feel more part of a community, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's affirming in a way. There's TV conventions that I've gone to for years. One in LA, one in Santa Barbara. That used to be in DC. Now it's in New Orleans. And it was the same thing. Like we're in these non-mainstream industries. When you go somewhere with other people that have spent their career doing it, it's affirming. And I think Comic-Con is huge in that way because people are out there doing. The only thing that's sort of torturous about Comic-Con is I've seen some companies that started as small as we started, and in the years that we've simply been there, our titles have grown, and we had good fortune with Samaritan and things like that. But someone like Boom, I remember when Boom was a table with just a handful of issues on it, and then Boom was suddenly a 10 by 10 where you could walk in. It was like, what the hell's going on with Boom?
Yeah.
And then they had all these massive IP they've licensed, and they were licensing Conan or something. I can't remember. They had tons of just licenses. They had all these IP. So they must have just gotten some funding, and then now Boom's not even there. Boom's like bought out, and was even bigger, I think now. But I've watched that over my whatever 15 years at Comic-Con just go shoom. It's
We
crazy to think about.
Similar experience for us was we went to a Transformers convention,
Yeah.
and the guy that wrote the book was there, John Barber, and he like signed the book. Then we paid him for the book. He put it in a bag, gave it to us. It was for IDW. It was like but it was just sort of this like, okay, you're doing the whole. I wrote it. Here it is. Buying it and selling it. Like, okay, but he got to be the editor in chief there for a while, and now he's at Pug
Bug
W. Yeah, but it was we got to meet him there, and then we kept seeing him, and he's actually bought some of our books, and he's been supportive, and he's been on the show a couple of times.
That's cool.
We did a panel twice at LA Comic-Con that I came up with, and so we got him to host it the second time we did it. So it seemed a little more legit than just me.
That stuff's fun because there's not a lot of us, so we do need to sort of stick together. And there's a lot to learn. I mean, how to monetize these things. It's so tricky and weird, and the whole idea of a paper book right now in 2025, hand drawn, is sort of insane.
Yeah,
but beautiful thing.
I like to think of it as a non-profit, So, what's a typical day like for you?
Well, right now I'm in development for a couple of TV projects, and so I have to spend time on those, Zooming with a development team that I'm partnered with. I have my documentary partner. That's really depends on us finding funding, which is a brutal task, is finding people to fund documentaries. And then that's most of my days right now until one of those shows gets picked up and I go into showrunner mode probably, and then that's very intensive. So right now I'm in between, and these are the times where I try to do a page a day, grind a page a day. I do have a new graphic novel series I'm working on, but I have to focus on Sulfur and the ones that are more important. But just try to get that writing in a page a day and keep moving it forward. So that's always a challenge, but that's fun. That's when you treat it like this really fun hobby. This sort of creating on the side. It's this very clean way to create. It's yours, as opposed to these other projects that are always mixed up with other entities and partnerships and productions, and you got to sell them to networks, and it's all going to change, and it's all going to blow up, and it's going to be bloody chaos, and it's going to have a low budget, and you're going to be squabbling. I know how that whole road is going to go. So the purity of just pushing your own little comic along is great.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Okay, so if someone wanted to follow you, what would be the best way to do that?
I would say the Mythos Insta, Mythos Comics, or Mythos Comics Facebook are the places where we hang out the most. We don't have a TikTok. I just don't have the time to manage these things properly. That'd be the best. The Facebook or the Instagram, Mythos Comic.
Okay.
Very easy to find.
We'll add that to the description on the show on YouTube. So
great, and there's a website, but the website's links off both those places, so it's okay.
Right. So you are watching us on YouTube later and you like this, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're looking for a silent fidget toy, use our code MartinUli to save 10% off your purchase at getono.com.
All right. So
I think you mean smash that like button.
Yeah. I've seen people do this at the beginning of the show, but it's fine. Because you're hoping people get this far. Anyway, so thanks for being on the show, Louis. Really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a little late there. And
all good. It's a pleasure. It's good to see you guys again.
Okay. So
see you next year.
Yeah, hopefully next year at Comic-Con. Maybe we'll be next to each other again. So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.